This is the Tony Granato story time. I don't know if you've told this story. I'm sure you probably have, but I know you were teammates and friends with Peter Laviolette.
Yes.
So you know exactly where I'm going with this.
I know where it's going. He was in our wedding too. So yes.
That's even better. I didn't know that. Wow.
When this screaming match happens in 2012, Flyers Penguins, big time rivalry, and I think you're defending.
The best part of it is Pierre. Pierre doesn't know what to do down there. He's listening. And I think going like, what do I say? What do I do?
He's probably just making sure the mic isn't picking it all up. But
that would have been a good thing. I know what I was saying.
Yeah. So
I know what Pete was saying too.
But my question for this is, after the game, do you guys call each other and like talk about it, or is it just something that like it happened, that's it, we move on, we're friends? You know, what happens after that?
B, the second one, because we were playing in the playoffs a week later. The funny part about this, Dan had no idea with my relationship with Peter, and I'll tell you, just let me prep on how this whole thing happened. So we're going to play Philly in the playoffs, no matter what happens in this game. 3 days or 4 days later, it's the 81st game of the season. I think we have one more game left, and you know, Philly wins this game. They score a goal with about 2.5 minutes to go to clinch it. They're up by 2 goals. We put Joe Vitale and a couple other, third or fourth line guys. We're not going to put Sid and Gino out there now. We basically waved the flag. We're going to lose this one. And he puts Briere on the ice. So Joe Vitale, who's a hard-nosed kid.
I played against him a lot. He's very hard-nosed.
And he's a great kid. He would never do anything, that wasn't appropriate, and he didn't do anything inappropriate. Briere gets the puck, Joe, bam, gets a good chance to hit him, puts his shoulder into him. All hell breaks loose on the ice. Everybody's, screaming, whatever. And Peter's pissed that we put Vitale on the ice, right? So he gets up on the bench. He's screaming at Dan. He's just saying what it looks like he's saying. It wasn't a PG version by any means of what Pete's screaming at our bench. And I see it, and I'm standing right there, and I'm watching Dan to see if Dan's going to go. And I'm thinking, Dan, come on, Dan. I was going to give him a little nudge to go, and he doesn't go. So I said, heck, I got to go up there. I got to stand up for the guys. So I did it once before. I did it versus Babcock when I was in Colorado and Detroit. So I know, this is the thing I know. When you stand on that bench, I know that bench sometimes isn't locked in because it's just the board in between. So when you go over, you got to hang on to something because you don't want to go down as a coach and either land on the ice or towards the bench. So I had my balance. I got up there, and I'm just telling Pete, sit down, Pete. Sit down, Pete. Because, like you said, I know him. He's in my wedding. Yeah. Great friends. We played together on the Olympics. We played together in the minors, and we played together with the Rangers. And I understood why he was upset. And I understood what his message was for his team. He's standing up for his players because we're playing them in the playoffs. And when I got nervous, it wasn't when I was arguing with Pete. When Berube stuck his head around,
that's what I was going to ask.
Head around the thing and kind of peeked around. I wasn't going any farther, and I wasn't going to say anything more. I was just going to hold my ground. I'm not backing up, but I'm not going any far forward. And that's the part I remember most was, just the fact that the event that it happened. It was something that in the game of hockey happens every now and then. You stand up and do what's right for your team. He did what was right for his team. I thought I was doing what was right for our team. That's the only game I've ever been thrown out of, by the way. I get
really?
Yeah.
Is there also a part of it that like is an understanding that you are like putting on a show for fans as well, or in the playoffs is that not even a thought?
Yeah, it definitely wasn't a show for the fans. It was definitely both Pete trying to stand up for his team to say, hey, there's no way we're taking this. And it was from our side of things, there's no way we're going to back off. And there's no way you're going to point at our coach and think that that's going to be okay, or our bench. And so it's I think, again, nothing, and you guys know this, nothing in the game of hockey is for show. There's not one staged fight. There's not one thing that goes, that's all competitive juices, somebody trying to get an edge or somebody trying to defend a teammate or a team in that case. So I think that was more than that. But the funny part of this, I got to go to the second part of the story. So after the game, Dan somehow finds out that Peter was in my wedding. He goes, does the press conference. I'm sitting in the thing, and someone told me, he goes, Dan just found out. I said, who the hell told him that? Why would we tell Dan that right now? He doesn't need to know it. So he comes back and he goes, he wasn't in your wedding, was he? And I go, Yeah, it was actually. So anyhow, fast forward another month and a half. We're having a party at my house for all the coaches and staff. We can't find Dan. Where the heck did Dan go? He's going around my house looking for wedding pictures, and he found one. And he comes down with it, and he sees Peter in the picture. Okay, so Pete's in that picture. He looks at me and I said, "Hey, Dan, I'm telling you, you'd love this guy. He's a great guy. Hey, it happens. Game of hockey. You've fought nice guys and been competitive with others that you would think they were a heck of a nice guys. He's a heck of a nice guy." Fast forward this, a couple years later, who's the coaching staff of the 2014 Olympic team? Dan Bylsma, Peter Laviolette, Todd Reardon, Tony Granato. So we were all reunited, and we told stories. We were roommates during that. We all roomed in the same dorm room / whatever it was at the Olympic Village together. So Pete and Dan definitely reconnected, and I think he appreciated and does appreciate Pete and understood why he would have been at my wedding. So there's the full story. You got to
And on top of it, now there has to be 2 pieces of glass now in every rink. They've got it on both sides
because of the coaches.
Oh my God,
Tony Granato.
That is the Tony Granato effect on.
I wanted to have something a change in the game because of me, and that's that the glass is in between. Okay.
And Pierre will tell you, like they were like every time now there has to be between the benches just in case.
I thought it was to keep you guys that do the third man between the glass safe from any pucks that are iced and whatever. No,
I hear it the other way. I hear it's the Tony. I heard it's the Tony Granato effect on the broadcasting world. Which look, you're a part of that world now.
What's up, hockey fans? If you enjoyed that video, then you need to be hitting the subscribe button right here at Daily Faceoff. Exclusive interviews and analysis from our hockey insider Frank Saravalli, fantasy updates from Brock Sagan, and a daily live show at noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. You don't want to miss any of the fantastic content, so hit that subscribe button.